Good evening, it's 5 p.m. Welcome to Starr today here on Starr 103.5 FM. And coming up this evening, controversial ally seeking to regulate prices of cement laid in Parliament by Trades and Industry Minister K.T. Hammond, despite earlier warnings from the minority.
Standard Authority, pricing of cement regulations 2024.
Yes, the bill is duly presented. It's referred to the Committee on Constitution Subsidiary Legislation to consider and report.
We'll have a discussion on this shortly. Also, activities at government agencies to grind to a halt from tomorrow as civil and local government staff declare strike over non-implementation of their new salary structure.
We hereby declare a nationwide strike with effect from Wednesday, 3rd July 2024. All staff of the civil service and the local government service should stay away from work until further notice.
Meanwhile, staff of the National Identification Authority have also served notice to resume their strike if collective agreement negotiations are not completed by tomorrow. In politics this evening, NPP flag bearer Dr. Mamadou Bawumia narrows NDC flag bearer John Maham's lead by 3% in latest Global Info Analytics poll. We're live to get more on this latest poll. And also, minority shoots down a session by Finance Minister. Government has reached a debt restructuring agreement with 5 independent power producers, arguing government is yet to meet conditions precedent.
Just yesterday, the Minister of Finance informed Ghanaians that they had restructured some $1 billion of IPP liability. Our checks indicate that that is completely false. I've spoken to almost all the IPP.
And later, Ghana Plastic Manufacturers Association to embark on a protest over the displeasure with the imposition of a 5% tax on all locally manufactured plastics here in the country. Stay with us because we have details of these and more coming up shortly.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takoradi, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Rage and Might FM in Tamale, Sonali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM.
Grateful for your company this evening. Welcome aboard Ghana's most comprehensive news analysis program, Starr today here on Starr 103.5 FM. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah, and we are streaming live on Facebook, so do join us there at facebook.com/Starr 103.5 FM. You can join us with your thoughts, your comments, your views, and contributions to the stories that we will be tackling this evening. Now, let's get into the details now. And the Ghana Plastic, well, we'll get to them shortly, but then the controversial legislative instrument seeking to regulate prices of cement has been laid in Parliament by Trade and Industry Minister K.T. Hammond, despite earlier warnings from the minority to reject the ELI. You recall the minority in Parliament had warned the Minister for Trade and Industry that the ELI will not get acceptability of the House. Now, speaking to Starr News, Deputy Ranking Member of the Finance Committee, Richard Echampong, argued price control is confined to military regimes and should not be entertained. Listen to him.
Actually, I've not cited any manufacturer in Parliament, but lobbying is part of politics. It's part of a democracy. In America, they have a special office for lobbyists. So it's in Ghana that when you hear lobbying or lobbyists, people conclude that it's corruption and all that. So if you want to legislate against my business, and I think what we are doing is going to affect my production, my profitability, I have the right to also lobby other stakeholders to kick against it. So it helps yourself. A whole minister called for a meeting and the industry players rejected to attend the meeting. It speaks volume, meaning there's no acceptability from the industry players for this man to be the minister. So the president must sit back and take a second look at it, that this man doesn't fit in this office. So what is at stake? The level at which price of cement keeps going up. So engage the people, talk to them. You can even have like official meeting with the Parliamentary Select Committee. They also give their input. Together, you come with the airline so that you get a buy-in. The Committee of Parliament is not aware, members are not aware, and he said you are going to lay an airline. Would you get acceptability of the airline? You will not get it. And by the end of the day, it will create a lot of confusion. Do you understand? So the minister should take his time, consult widely, so that the buy-in will be there. By the end of the day, we are going to protect our interest. Because I can't buy cement today, 90 Ghana cedis, and tomorrow you tell me it's 102, 105, depending on where even you are buying it from. But we don't have a control market. We are dealing with open market system. Because the sources of their importation, the clinker and the rest, are different. And everything is quoted in dollars. What is the exchange rate now? Just last night, it was 15.75. Others are trading it 16. So if I use 16 to import this product, you want me to sell it at 98 cedis? It will not happen. So and whose responsibility it is to manage the forest? It's the government, Bank of Ghana and Ministry of Finance. They've gone to sleep. The chairman of economic management team is all over the place dancing to wrong tune and just throwing his hands, say we should give me a steer. I don't know the type of car, either articulator or Kia truck. I don't know the kind of steer he's calling for. So they've left their work and they are just campaigning. And everything is getting to the West State. These are the critical matters we need to address.
So they should concentrate on fixing the city rather than seeking to control prices of cement.
You can't control prices because that era is gone. It was under the military regime that you had control prices. Because everything is charged at the port in dollars. So if the city is not stable, who pays for the, exchange rate differentials? Do you have any budget for that? You don't. Unless government will tell us, okay, in open market, the dollar is 15 or 16, but my rate at the port is 10. Then you can also control their pricing. So government should give us a fixed rate. Let's say for the whole year. No matter what,
don't forget,
I'm giving to you at the port 10 Ghana cedis. It doesn't matter even if it is 20. Yeah. In this case, you can also control their pricing.
Grateful.
Thank you.
So you heard a member, ranking member for the Finance Committee, Richard Echampong, who is also the Member of Parliament for BIA, speaking to Ibrahim Al-Hassan. Now, despite heavy resistance by manufacturers, a meeting scheduled to address concerns was boycotted by the cement manufacturers due to the presence of the media yesterday. Now, representatives from Gasem, Dangote, CBI, CMAF, and Diamond Cement expressed shock that the minister had invited the media without their knowledge to the meeting scheduled to be held behind closed door. Now, according to the Adansia Squad MP Katie Hammond, efforts to get the manufacturers to come to the negotiation table proved futile. Listen to him.
I've done enough consultation. I'm clear in my mind. I've given them enough opportunity to put on the table what the ideas are for us to sanitize the system. It seems to be that it is their way or no other way. I think your expression is their way or the highway. I don't intend to accept any such attitude. So here we are. God willing, tomorrow I will make the effort officially to lay my LI. And this LI is seeking to regulate the pricing of cement in the country I think it is atrocious to have a situation where every blessed minute there is increase in the prices of cement. It was briefed that there is this gossip among them that the minister was toothless. He couldn't do anything. They could run amok and do whatever they wanted to do. Indeed, the whole concept has been subjected to a massive ridicule. I wasn't going to sit here and look on for the cement manufacturing industries to take the country for a ride. I think there is an attempt to establish a cabal. I think there is an attempt to establish an oligarchy, a complete oligarchy, to manipulate the system. In the process, the good people of Ghana are being shortchanged. I'm not going to sit down for this.
So you heard Adansesqua MP Katie Hammond. He's also the Minister for Trade and Industry. Well, in Parliament today, Minority Chief Whip Governs Kwame Agboja explained the price control element has been taken out and in its place, price reporting. Now, according to the Adaklu MP, the concerns of MPs and industry players have been addressed. First, Deputy Speaker Joseph Oseusu, who was presiding, consequently referred the LI to the Subsidiary Legislation Committee. Now, legislation we know will mature after 21 sitting days. We'll be getting to speak to our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Ibrahim Al-Hassan. But before then, listen to how things panned out on the floor of Parliament.
I don't have any issues with this. The last time the minister was here, colleagues from both sides had very serious concerns. Those concerns have been sent back to the committee and have been addressed. I am informed that they have dealt with those issues, and based on that, they have advised that this is no longer harmless. So we are okay to support it, at least what I've been told, that it is not about price control. It's the price control element have been taken out. It is about reporting, the price reporting to the committee. And if that is the case, Mr. Speaker, the advice is that it's no longer a controversial issue, so it can go. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minister. Yes.
Ghana Standard Authority, pricing of cement regulations 2024.
Yes, the bill is duly presented. It's referred to the Committee on Constitution Subsidiary Legislation to consider and report.
So you heard Joseph Oseusu there. Before him, you heard the Adaklu MP Governs Kwame Agboja. Let's get on the phone lines and engage our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Ibrahim Al-Hassan on how all of these panned out in Parliament today. Ibrahim, so what we know now is that it's been late. But before then, what happened?
Wow, so it delayed all right, but as you could tell, the Minister for Trade and Industry, Al-Hadi, Katie Hammond, was very, very confident that he was going to get the LI late today regardless. And this is the reason. So, on the original order paper, there was nothing like laying of the LI. But then there was order paper addendum, specifically to make room for this fly. So it didn't come as a surprise when it was eventually laid. There were no disagreements because all the disagreements had been ironed out at the committee level. And so it was a smooth sail for Katie Hammond. Nonetheless, the controversial aspect had been taken out, and now the price control. The argument from the minority side, from the sector players, were that basically the price control regime is the remnant of military regimes, and no democratic government should entertain any attempt to control price of products and services. And that's how come they were vehemently against. You heard Richard Example make that argument forcefully. And so with the controversial clauses out of the way, had become a smooth sail for the allies. It's subsequently been referred to the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, which is actually a formality. What the committee will do is to ferry this particular ally. Nonetheless, regardless of what its report says, within 21 certain days of Parliament, this LI will then mature. It will then be gazetted. Unlike a bill which will require a presidential assent, this one will not require presidential assent. It will become a law that's implementable. Of course, the change is that this time around, the cement manufacturers are required to report on their pricing, report to government on their pricing, and not government seeking to determine how much they sell their cement. Just so that's the difference. And that is a markedly different rendition of the original ally that made its way to the President of Parliament.
Quite interesting. So for the minority, it was the price regulation that was a big problem for them. And once that has been interchanged with something else, they are okay as it stands now.
Very okay, according to Governor Sami Abuja. And the sector players are equally happy because what they didn't want was the headmaster by way of the government standing on them and determining how much they sell their prices without determining how much their raw materials will cost, how much duties they will pay at the port, and how much cedis they will have to convert into dollars for importation of their raw materials.
And for the cement manufacturers, we know that earlier they were in Parliament seeking to lobby and get the attention of the minority. Were they in Parliament when this happened?
Well, they had left, but of course I'm sure that's because they had gotten what they wanted. What they were against was the attempt to regulate or for that matter control the prices. With what they had been given and the assurance therein that, and mind you, the opposition was not just from the minority. What Governor Abuja said, the concerns were from both the minority and majority. And I'm sure publicly you might have heard Member of Parliament for Anyantu Beshin Adnahugisi talk about the fact that government has no business seeking to control the prices of goods and services. And so it came as a relief to both sides. And with this assurance, the sector players and the cement manufacturers left with the hope that the law will not seek to disrupt their business unnecessarily.
Ibrahim, thank you so much for bringing us updates from the floor of Parliament. So what we do know is that that ally has finally been laid in Parliament, and after 21 days, we'll see the maturity of same. This is Starr today here on Starr 103.5 FM. We'll be right back after this. Well, we apologize for that. You're still listening to Starr today here on Starr 103.5 FM. So from the cement manufacturers, let's go to another group of manufacturers who are also not happy about one thing or the other. Well, the Ghana Plastic Manufacturers Association has hinted of plans to embark on a demonstration on Wednesday, July 10, 2024, to drum home their displeasure over the imposition of a 5% excise tax on all locally manufactured plastic products. Now, the association has earlier in June threatened to halt production if its request for extensive consultation with the Ministry of Finance on the implementation of the excise tax is not met. So let's go over the phone lines now and speak to the president of the Ghana Plastic Manufacturers Association, Ebo Boche. He was in our studios last week, and this week we know that they are saying that they are going to embark on a demonstration over that same concern. Let's go to the phone lines now. Ebo Buchi has joined me. Ebo, thank you so much for your time this evening. So exactly what is calling for the demonstration? Because last week you gave government a 7-day ultimatum to actually get something positive in terms of the 5% excise tax. Now you're hinting of a demonstration. What is happening?
So it's supposed to expire, the 7-day ultimatum is supposed to expire on Thursday. We were expecting that between Black Friday and yesterday, we could have heard from government. In fact, as I speak to you at this moment, we have still not heard from government. And to take a demonstration, our understanding is that you need to give the police 6 working days. So effectively, if we need to go on a demonstration on Wednesday, then we need to put the police notice through now. So that is essentially the reason why we have put in the application. Now, if we're putting in the notice, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to go ahead with it. There is always the chance that between now and Friday or Monday next week, we could hear from government. The minute we have some conversation with government, which is encouraging, would call off the demonstration.
And where do you draw confidence from in this one, in terms of government responding or getting something positive from government? Because like you said, from last week till date, government has still not given any indication whatsoever.
So we were told, we were informed that the Minister for Finance was out of town and he was supposed to come back on Friday. So we are expecting the Minister to be in the office from yesterday. So if we did not hear from government last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we tolerated it. And then we are expecting that between yesterday and tomorrow, we should hear from government. And why we're probably also pushing for the demonstration for next week is that the GRA that was harassing us since our press conference, they have stopped harassing us. And if GRA has stopped harassing us, we will also give...
You have just 1 minute remaining. You can dial...
Well, we apologize for that right there. We'll try and get Eboboche back on the phone line so that we can have the conversation. But this is Starr today here on Starr 103.5 FM. Stay with us.
Starr today. First, fast, and credible.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Rage and Might FM in Tamale, Somali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM.
This is Starr today here on Starr 103.5 FM. Let's do some other stories this evening on the bulletin. Let me take you back to Parliament because the minority has refuted claim by the government of reaching an agreement with 5 independent power producers to restructure $1 billion legacy debts. Now, Finance Minister Dr. Amin Adam, in a joint presser with the IMF on Ghana's program with the Bretton Woods institution yesterday, announced the agreement with the IPPs. But speaking to the media in Parliament, ranking member for the Committee on Mines and Energy, John Jinapor, disclosed checks with the IPPs revealed government has not met the conditions precedent for the signing of such an agreement. Listen to him.
On the other hand, we are not servicing our debts. And so when you hear of so-called growth in GDP, the first question you ought to ask yourself is, why has that GDP not been able to support Ghana to service its debt? Despite the assurance from the minister, the currency keeps depreciating. We were told by the majority side and some members in government that the problem was with Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta, the then finance minister. Since the exit of the finance minister, the cedi continues to depreciate and we're seeing a free fall of the cedi. We are therefore convinced that the problem is not limited to only the finance minister, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, as he was then, but it's a systemic problem with this government. The problem goes beyond Ken Ofori-Atta. And I can bet you the next government would inherit a broken economy. Just yesterday, the Minister of Finance informed Ghanaians that they had restructured some $1 billion of IPP liabilities. Our checks indicate that that is completely false. I've spoken to almost all the IPPs. On the contrary, government has failed to meet its side of the bargain by making some bulk payments that will trigger these agreements. That is to say, there are some condition precedent that government ought to fulfill. But this government has failed to fulfill that. So, unfortunately, once again, This so-called restructuring of IPP debt is nothing but a charade. In 2020, government borrowed 3 billion of Eurobond and promises that they will use $1 billion to restructure IPP liabilities. As soon as government got the money, they misused and misapplied that money. Our latest check indicates that that money cannot be accounted for. Anytime the MPP tells you they are restructuring or renegotiating any energy sector contract, it ends up being bloated, it ends up causing serious liability. This is the time for the president to swallow his pride, for the head of the economic management team, Dr. Baumia, to swallow his pride and call for a national dialogue on the state of Ghana's economy. This pretense, wishy-washy arguments, and trying to obfuscate the real facts would not help. I think that this is the time for Ghanaians to know what lies ahead for them in the future, so that whichever government would be assuming office from 2025 would be realistic, would be real with the people, and come up with pragmatic measures to resolve the problems confronting us.
You heard ranking on the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, John Jinapo. Now, in a related development, the minority is questioning the basis of assertions of economic recovery by President Akufo-Addo and the Finance Minister. You recall the Finance Minister, Dr. Amin Adam, yesterday argued the President has been vindicated for saying he knows how to bring back the economy. Addressing the media, the Apekaso MP, in what can be described as evidence-based presentation with containers of oil in his hands related to the high cost of living, he concluded the problem with the country's economy was not only with the former finance minister Ken Ofori-Atta, as Ghanaians were made to believe by the majority.
As you may be aware, from the beginning of this month, 1st of July, electricity tariff has witnessed some significant level of increment. As if that is not enough, today as we speak, diesel prices have also witnessed a significant level of increment. Petrol prices have also been increased. LPG for cooking has also been increased. Cement prices have also been increased. Meanwhile, wages and salaries have remained constant and stagnating. This is brought about untold hardship, very difficult moments for the ordinary Ghanaian. We on the minority side, taking cognizance of the serious and high cost of living, which is having a toll on various families, deem it appropriate to call on the Akufo-Addo-led government to do something about the exacerbating nature of the cost of living. You may recall that in 2016, with just 14 cedi, in 2016, you could procure a gallon of fuel. That is to say, in 2016, what you could buy with the same amount for this gallon, today, in Akufo-Addo and Baumia's administration, you can only buy this quantity with the same amount of money. Meanwhile, the minimum wage has increased over the period by just about 100%. On the other hand, goods and services, on the average, have risen by about 500%. If you do the minimum wage during President Mohammed's time in 2016 at 8 cedi, you could buy 2 bags of rice and still have change left. Today, with the current minimum wage, you cannot even buy a bag of rice. That is how serious the situation is. Price of rice today is about 500 cedi, the 25 kg. If you check the price in 2016, it was about 100 cedi, with a minimum wage of 8 cedi. And the calculation is normally with 27 days. The amount of money you get at the end of the month with the minimum wage can buy you more than 2 bags of 25 kg. Then, today with a minimum wage of about 16 cedi, if you work for 27 days, what you get at the end of the month will not be enough to get you the 500 cedi required to procure a bag of rice. And so we are comparing apples with apples and doing what in economics you call a purchasing power parity argument. We are not just looking at the increment in terms of rice, we are also looking at the increment in terms of your wages, and to check the current wage, current price, yesterday's wage, yesterday's price, and find out whether you are better off. And I can tell you, the ordinary Ghanaian worker today is worse off than he was under President Mahama. Be it procurement of rice, purchase of oil, purchase of cement, rent, in any of the key issues that confronts the ordinary Ghanaian.
Well, you heard John Jinapo. He's ranking on the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament. Now, Richard Jakpa, the third accused in the ongoing ambulance case, says his cross-examination by the Attorney General, Godfrey Ebadame, was below the belt, and he has given the Attorney General a 3 out of 10 rating. Listen to Richard Jakpa.
Below the belt, what I'm trying to tell that they were legally incompetent, very inept at arguing their case. You were in court. You saw that he was bringing documents and he was even confused. He didn't even understand that there is an LC account in a bank. And the LC is established from the account of the bank, from the account of the LC. So there's difference between 15 and over million and 3.9 billion, which was meant for the first 50 tranche, which came from the ministry. And the man was telling the court that debit and credit balance, which was open and closed, and the charges in the bank, that was the LC. That is completely, it's just pathetic. And you were there and I had to educate him that, my brother, that is the account of the LC. But the LC that the Minister of Finance signed was 3.95 million euros at the summer point. That is 1/4 of the money that was in the open balance. That is over 50 million euros. So the real LC was a 3.95 million euros, which are at the back of the page, you have the condition precedent. But on the opening balance, there's no condition precedent because it was just the Ghana International Bank opening the LC account for all the 15 million euros for the 200. And out of it, they removed the 50 cost of the ambulances for the next LC of 3.9. And this Attorney General, he cannot decipher. He can't even interpret common LC documents. And I on the audio that I released, you realize I educated on the LC. And I was expecting that today he would have come well informed, even get consultants to school him proper. But he still came there and came and repeated the same ignorance. And I have to point it out to him again.
From where you sit in the witness box, if you had to rate the Attorney General's performance of your cross-examination, how would you rate it?
In fact, well, if it is a scale, if you give me a scale, maybe let's say a scale from...
A scale of 1 to 10.
1 to 10. I'll give the Attorney General 3.
3?
Yeah, 3 over
3
10.
out of 10.
3 out of 10. That will be 3. I'll give him 3 out of 10.
So you heard the third accused in the ambulance case saga, Richard Jakpa, giving the Attorney General 3 out of 10 for his cross-examination. We'll go back to our earlier story on the issue of plastic manufacturers and the notice that they have served to embark on a demonstration next week if they do not hear anything positive from the government. We were speaking to Ebo Boche earlier. He is president of the association. Ebo, thank you so much. We lost you earlier, but you were making the point that when you made the caution to the GRA to stop harassing your members, that actually has happened.
Yes, so that is actually why we are probably going a bit slow with the total shutdown, because GRA has stopped harassing our members, and we are also hoping that the signal that we are taking not go too strong, but the signal is that we might get government to get to talk to us. But then, as I mentioned, for us to get on a demonstration, we need to give the police a 6 working day notice. We still need to put our notice through. We have series of actions that we have put down, and we're going to get it one by one accordingly. And I mean, at the end of the day, assuming that we do not get any response from government, at the end of the day, it's going to be a total shutdown, which probably will be an indefinite. But because we know that when we shut down, the ripple effect, the cascading effect on other industries is going to be enormous. So we are trying to go slowly, and like I said, because GRA has stopped harassing us, so we'll give the benefit of the doubt. We know that the minister was out of town. He came back over the weekend, so probably he resumed office from yesterday. And definitely the minister might have a lot on his table. So we are just giving the benefit of the doubt and give some little more space and wait. We hope that before Tuesday next week, we should have been able to resolve this so we don't embark on the demonstration.
Now, when you were in my studio last week, you mentioned that members are really worried. Members are not excited about the whole thing. How are they feeling now, a week on, still not hearing from the government?
Very disappointing. I mean, members, those who need to put the next plan of action into place have already. Some have started one down. In the plastic industry, we have what we call all stocks. So you normally have your raw materials, that is the raw materials. You have the one with your producer, the raw material producer, that is the first order. Your second order is on the high seas coming to you. You have the third stock, which is in the harbor and the clearing, as in the harbor in Ghana and the clearing. And then your fourth stock is the one that you have on your shop floor that you are using for your production. Already, most companies are slimming down just in case there is a need to shut down totally. And as I mentioned earlier on, we have 4 companies who have already relocated to Ivory Coast and then Togo. 2 more have started simulation exercise, and unless really there is a dramatic change in government policies when it comes to taxes, something drastic will happen. And that is going to be a very big capital flight from Ghana, because once we get all these industries relocating, that's a capital flight. And the plastic industry, it's one of the economic pillars as far as Ghana's economy is concerned. We have not taken this position before. We've not come to this position before. We have tolerated taxes upon taxes for a very long time. And this is the day, this is the time that we are trying to say enough is enough.
Right. And finally, I remember after your press conference last week that we heard from certain groups who said, you know what, the tax should rather be increased because it would now discourage the production, which would, as a result, or based primarily on the fact that, well, it has some menace to society, the plastic menace in society, for which reason they believe that the tax would be a disincentive for most of you to just move out of the business and consider alternatives. What do you say to those?
That is the way to go. I mean, that is elsewhere in Europe and in America. This is what it is practiced. That is the best form of approach. But let us go back and ask about the 10% environmental excise tax. As of 31st of December 2023, it has accrued over 1.97 billion Ghana cedis, and not one single cedi has been spent on plastic waste management or plastic recycling or anything that is got to do with plastic waste. So what about that? Where is that money? If just 1/10 of that money is allocated for plastic waste recycling or management, we would have gotten every single plastic waste off our streets, off our environment. So it is not an issue that it is going to deter. Again, we have 2 types of plastics. We have the rigid and then the flexibles. What you are talking about that causes environmental is the flexible plastics. We are just doing about 29% out of our total production capacity. For the 71%, it is rigid. And the rigid is about your PVC pipes, your plastic furniture, your overhead water tanks, your polystacks, your ice coolers, and all these other rigid plastic crates and what have you. Would you say that the PVC pipe that the builders use for construction, for plumbing, or for electricals, etc., is these plastics that is causing the environmental hazard? No. Even with the flexibles, the sachet water bags and the black carry bags. We have given government time and again the proper education how to manage and to control this. All these documents or this information is probably sitting somewhere.
Right. So for you, the call is not entirely on the right tangent.
Sorry, come again.
So I'm asking that for you, to those people, you say, well, the call is a good one because elsewhere that's what is done. But the tax that have been collected, we should rather concentrate on those and make sure that the taxes are used.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
Right. Well,
I think government is not being fair with the plastic industry, and it is high time that government will sit up and then listen to the plastic industry.
Very well. Ebo, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you.
That's Ebo Bochi. He is the president of the Plastic Manufacturers Association of Ghana, speaking to us on that matter. This is Starr today on Starr 103.5 FM. We are back with more. Stay with us.
Starr today. First, fast, and credible.
Now, let's do more stories. And if you find yourself at any government agency from tomorrow, you are very unlikely to have anything done, as you will meet empty offices. This is because the Civil and Local Government Staff Association Ghana, CLOGSAG, have ordered members not to show up at work from tomorrow, July 3, 2024. According to the association, all efforts to get government to implement the new salary structure, which has been outstanding since January last year, have proven futile. Hence, their decision. Here's Executive Secretary of CLOGSAG, Isaac Bampoado, at a press conference early today.
In consonance with our letter number BA 15, volume 2, dated 21st June 2024, indicating our intention to proceed on nationwide strike if the new salary structure for the staff of the civil service and local government service is not implemented, we hereby declare a nationwide strike with effect from Wednesday, 3rd July 2024. All staff of the civil service and the local government service should stay away from work until further notice. Similarly, all cluster secretariat offices are closed. Can you take note and comply accordingly? We signed an MOU with government that effective 1st January 2023 will be on a new salary structure. And 1.5 years down the lane, this has not been done. That's why we are calling for this nationwide strike. This is the decision that has been taken by our National Executive Council that we should go on strike. And it's only the National Executive Council that can reverse this decision. I cannot do it. So this food for thought. It's only our National Executive Council that can reverse this decision. They took this decision. It's not us.
That's Isaac Bampoado. He is the Executive Secretary of CLOGSAG. Well, they are not the only ones embarking on a strike. Now, staff of the National Identification Authority have also served notice to resume their strike if collective agreement negotiations are not completed by Wednesday, July 3, 2024. Let me read to you excerpts of a statement issued by the Public Service Workers Union of TUC, NIA Divisional Executive Council. It says that it is on record that after the directives by the NLC, the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission invited us to a meeting on the 14th of June 2024 at the head office of NIA to continue the negotiation as directed. Now, at the end of the meeting, the parties could not reach a consensus and unanimously agreed to reconvene on the 21st of June 2024 at 5 p.m. on the premises of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The unions appeared on the premises of Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, and to our disappointment, the government team headed by the Fair Wages and Salary failed to honor the meeting. Even though the meeting was on their premises, our intelligence indicated that Fair Wages and Salaries Commission had gone to NIA head office on the same date and time to hold a meeting with management, contrary to our initial arrangement and without the involvement of the unions. Now, the unions considered the conduct of Fair Wages and Salaries Commission as unsubstantiated and exhibition of bad faith, which is contrary to the directive by the NLC. So, therefore, before that, the Public Service Workers Union, by this, wishes to inform all stakeholders that if on or before 3rd of July 2024, which is tomorrow, a meeting is not convened to continue the negotiations and by extension conclude the negotiations, we will have no other option than to advise ourselves after 3rd of July 2024 without further notice. Therefore, the Divisional Executive Council directs all its members that 1. Beginning Monday, July 1, 2024, all members are to wear red or black attires with red armbands to the office as a sign of demonstration. 2. The dressing attire should be complemented with inscriptions on placards with the hashtags and is there fix our conditions of service among others. And 3. The petition to His Excellency the President of Ghana has been duly submitted via post this evening. If by Wednesday, 3rd July, negotiations on our collective agreement are not completed as directed by the NLC with clear commitments for its implementations, we'll advise ourselves with immediate effect without further notice. And it's signed by the Divisional Council Chairman, Francis Newzagel, and the Divisional Secretary, Kwabna Edu Chermi. Well, we are told they agreed to speak to us earlier, but we are told they have entered into another council meeting, and I'm sure that will be because the date they issued, which is tomorrow, actually is drawing nigh. This is Starr today here on Starr 103.5 FM. Now let's get into some politicking now. And the latest poll by Global Info Analytics suggests the 2024 presidential race is tightening amidst a nationwide tour by the vice president and also flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Baobia. We'll get back to that story, but let's go back to our earlier story on the NIA and the staff's demonstration to embark on a strike. Well, we've been joined on the phone lines now by the Divisional Council Secretary, Kwabna Edu Chermi. Kwabna, thank you so much for your time this evening, sir.
Good evening, my brother.
Great. I hope you're doing well.
Fine, thank you. Your side?
I'm doing really well, but you have issued an ultimatum, which is tomorrow, saying that if before or on tomorrow, that's the 3rd of July, you do not have a meeting on the collective agreement, your members have been told to take, you said you take a decision after that. But what exactly? Because we thought everything was going well with your negotiations with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Where did it all go wrong?
Yes, let me use the opportunity to greet members of PSWG listening to you and your cherished listeners. The issue is that all is not well. The Fair Wages and management representing the government, they have not been acting in good faith. They have gone contrary to the directives of Labour Commission, which is to the effect that anytime they adjourn a meeting, you should have a fixed date. That decision has not been adhered to by the government side. Secondly, we're supposed to have a meeting on the 21st of June to continue the negotiation, which took a different switch. Hello?
I'm listening to you.
So we were supposed to have the meeting at Fair Wages. We went there and the meeting did not come on. Then we were supposed to have a next meeting, and then they did not actually give us a favorite date. The next day they come with is on the 11th. Our members are saying we cannot wait. We were supposed to report the outcome of the negotiation to Labour Commission probably tomorrow. Why will you fix a date on the 11th of July? So our members are not happy, and that we are saying if you don't hear anything between now and tomorrow, waiting for the outcome of the Labour Commission decision tomorrow, then we will go back to council and then we take a decision. Whilst I'm speaking with you, I'm in a meeting with the council. We are taking a decision for the outcome of tomorrow. Thank you.
And you said in your statement earlier that, well, the day you were supposed to meet the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, they rather entered into a meeting with management of the NIA. Did you get to know exactly how that meeting turned out?
No, please. That is where our people are not getting it, because negotiation is a process which involves two parties. So if in any event you are going to have another meeting, that will near to the benefit of the members or the union, you should have brought it to our attention. Only for us to travel far and near. As I'm speaking with you, I am in Bunu region, chairman from Eastern region, among others, all over Ghana, to travel to Accra just to hear that you have swerved us to have a meeting at a known place. So that didn't go down well with us.
And when you say that you advise yourself, what exactly are you talking about?
Actually, our council is made up of 16 regional chairpersons. We are going to take a decision that will inure to our benefit, sir.
So is that to say that even as we speak, you've still not heard from Fair Wages and Salaries Commission?
We had a letter from them that we are going to commence the negotiation on the 11th of this month. And our people are saying that date is too far.
And you have made that clear to the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission?
Yes, I think the mother union communicated to them when they tried to sort for the reason why they could not meet us on the 21st and the adjourned date that they gave it to us. Because you adjourn the date on 21st, at least the next available date should be the following week or a day or two, but not for about 3 weeks or a month after. Looking at the negotiation, then when are we going to end this negotiation? And that is the question our people are asking.
Right. And the Fair Wages has not provided any answer to the questions that have been asked.
We have not received any answers.
Right. Governor, thank you. We'll leave you to continue with your council meeting, and then we'll get to know exactly what pans out after tomorrow.
Grateful for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
And God be with you. Right.
Be with you too, my brother. That's Kwabena Educhireme. He is NIA Divisional Council Secretary of the Public Service Workers Union of the TUC. Now, let's get into some politicking now, because the latest poll by Global Info Analytics suggests the 2024 presidential race is tightening amidst a nationwide tour by the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Now, the poll shows that Dr. Bawumia has narrowed John Dramani Mahama's lead in the poll by approximately 3% compared to the April 2024 poll. Now, JDM now leads DMB 51.1% to 38.2%, Alan Kodjo Mensah 5.3%, Nana Kwame Bediako 4.6%, and the other 0.8%. Christabel Affle has joined me. She's also with the research desk, and she's joined me with more on this particular poll. So, Christabel, you've been looking at the reports put out by Global Info Analytics. What exactly are they saying?
So, Joshua, this polls, as Global Info Analytics has been releasing from time to time as we are getting close to the elections. And then for this time round, we can see the NDC led by John Dramani Mahama leading with 51.1 votes.
Right.
That is the asked of their voting intentions. And then 51.1% says...
Of the respondents.
The respondents says they will vote for John Mahama. But this could have been an interesting or a good news for the NDC. But then we can see that compared to the 2021 polls, John Dramani has receded by 3.2%. So he's actually going down. He's dwindling bit by bit. And then, this is actually great news for the NPP, because you can see their campaign is going on.
Interesting.
Yeah. But then we can also see that not only Bawumia is increasing, Nana Kwame Bediako from the new force, he's on the new trajectory, and then he's been going around, and we can also see that he's also made some gains with 2.3%. In April, he only 2.3% of the respondents wanted to vote for him, but now after campaigns and road shows, has increased. He's gained some popularity, and then he's currently around 4.6%. But then when we look at the regions, the voting intentions based on regions, we can see that specifically in the central region, John Dramani Mahama selected his running mate.
Exactly. Professor Nana Jino Pokuajiman is from the central region.
Under normal circumstance, you would be expecting that he's doing well. He's doing well in the central region. So it brings a lot to question if Jane is not really, because from the polls conducted by the Info Analytics, you can see that from between April 2024 in central region, there were about 51% of the people who wanted to vote for John Dramani Mahama.
Right.
But currently, the June 2024 report shows that he's actually dwindled to 39%.
Wow.
That's over 10% decrease over there. So it brings a lot to question. But in the same region, we can see new force.
Nana Kwame Bediako.
Yes, Nana Kwame Bediako is also making some gains. Like in April 2024, there were just 1% of the people there.
Exactly. So he must be doing something right.
Yeah, he must be doing something because currently there are, I think, 13% of the people want to vote for him, and that's quite a gain compared to John Dramani Mahama. And in that region, Bawumia is also not doing well. But then when we look at central eastern region, then John Dramani Mahama is also making some gains over there. But then when you look at the Ashanti region, which is the stronghold of the NPP, you can see that Mahama is just going down, because from in April he was 31%, but now only 22% of the people. And then Bawumia has actually increased in the Ashanti region. About 66% of the people wants to vote for Bawumia, because I was thinking, you heard the commotion about some people saying because he elected Napo, they are not for that. And then,
well, but interestingly, the announcement came in what, July?
Yes.
And this was done in June. So you would have expected that. Well, prior to that, so if the poll is conducted now in the Ashanti region, what would be the dynamics? And that would be very interesting to get to know. Yeah, now that they know.
Quite a lot of
exactly.
Mm-hmm. And then not to forget, the poll actually sampled 7,000 people. And then one of the topmost issue that people will be looking at to vote is the economy. People are really looking out, and then we heard the economy. I think 73% of the people say the economy is the topmost issue for them. If you are for the economy, they are for you.
Right.
So,
Christabel, thank you so much for breaking it down. But let's get on the phone lines and speak to Executive Director of the Global Info Analytics, Musa Dankwa. He's joined us on the phone lines now. Musa, thank you so much for your time. But really, do we know what is accounting for the change between April and now in this polls that you conducted?
Right. Thank you very much, and thank you to your listeners. There are three main reasons behind the movement in the numbers. One, if you look at the MPP voters who backed Bawumia, the number has gone up from 83% in April to 88% now. That's 5% increase. And those who support Alan Sematin were 7% in April. It's now gone down to 2%. So it's a realignment of voters who were MPP, who were before then were voting for Alan, that have returned home. Then you have Bawumia improving slightly among floating voters, from 20% in April to 23% now. So you can see that he got a bit of the floating voters as well. So those were the reasons behind movement within the Bawumia and Alan numbers. But Mahama numbers largely, I think, went to Nana Kwame Bediako in some cases, and few went to Bawumia, if you ask me.
Quite interesting. Nana Kwame Bediako seems to be doing so well from the polls you conducted in April.
Yes, if you look at his performance in Central region, it's quite staggering. Moving from 1% previous month to about 13% now. If you look at East Ashanti region, in fact, he was on 1%, but it's now on 2%. And you may think that it's a small number, but in Ashanti region, moving from 1 to 2 is quite significant. And then in the Eastern region, he was on 5%, now on 11%. That is very remarkable in the region for the Nakwa region.
So for the candidates, what does this tell them?
Well, more work to be done. They have to canvass for more. And I think the race will be decided by first-time voters. Whoever wins first-time voters win the election.
First-time voters?
Yes.
Wow. Quite interesting. Then it will be quite instructive for the flag bearers now to be looking at focusing on those people.
Absolutely. You need to speak their language. You need to provide them what they want. You can't just tell them what you want to give them. You must know what they want. And first and foremost, you must find out what they want.
Well, Musa, thank you. Thank you so much. We're grateful for your time this evening.
It's my pleasure.
Right. So that's Musa Dankwa. He is the man behind Global Info Analytics, and their polls, recent polls, have shown that John Dramani Mahama is losing quite some numbers, and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia seems to be doing a bit on the upside, and he's given the reasons why. Nana Kwame Bediako is also, we are being told, is stealing some numbers from John Dramani Mahama's numbers, especially in the central region, among others. But exactly what message is going down there? And it tells you how things can pan out going forward into the 2024 general elections. Now, let's do some more stories. Well, we still have to speak to a political analyst on this particular development, but go on Facebook now and let me know exactly what your thoughts are. On Facebook at Starr 103.5 FM. We are streaming live, so you can send me your comments there, your thoughts and contributions on this particular development. The Global Info Analytics poll telling us exactly what is happening. John Dramani Mahama, numbers coming, losing numbers a bit too. Nana Kwame Bediako of the New Force. And let me know what exactly your thoughts are. We'll also be speaking to Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere. He's a political analyst. We'll get his thoughts on these polls and the numbers and exactly what they mean going forward. This is Starr 103.5 FM, and we are across the country on our affiliates.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Ridge and Might FM in Tamale, Somali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM.
So, on the dictates of the poll of Global Info Analytics, let's engage Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere. He's a political analyst on this particular one. Doc, thank you so much for joining us this evening. So, this is what it points to, that John Dramani Mahama seems to be losing some numbers, and Dr. Bawumia seems to be gaining, and Nana Kwame Bediako is also gaining in the latest poll. What are your thoughts? Preliminary.
Well, I'm saying good evening to your listeners. I've already granted an interview on this with TV3 FM. The point is that it is quite scientific in the sense that if you have the flag bearer of the ruling party going about, making promises, doing some kind of street politics or retailing politics, if you want to put it that way, it is quite scientific that he will make some gains. And so I'm not surprised that something of that sort has really happened.
But what about the numbers of John Dramani Mahama dwindling in a way? Because per the polls, we are told that he's rather losing numbers. For instance, in the central region, to Nana Kwame Bediako.
Well, that particular place is quite strange to me. In the sense that, let's see if he also goes round for the second time. Let's see how the polls will behave. But in central region,
and by he you mean?
I mean that if he also goes about once again, his numbers will show up.
John Mahama or Nana Kwame Bediako?
John Mahama.
Right.
His number will show up, definitely. Kwame Bediako, I think that the reason why he's making some gains, which mostly is with the youth, and I think that this, and according to the Global Info, it is more of the first-time voters. You understand? They are the youth, and they are caught up by the euphoria of a young man, giving them some kind of promises, and so on and so forth. And of course, because he's got the resources, so to speak, he can easily, make an impression among this particular youth. And so people are just caught up with the euphoria of wanting to join the particular trend that he intends to bring. And that's the more reason something of that sort has happened. But apart, in the central region, you know that because of the schools that we have around, you see, most of the youthful, are around. And so if you have those numbers, inuring to his benefit, I'm not surprised. But it is a call on the NDC to do a lot more because the running mate that is taken is from the central region. Therefore, you cannot really lose grounds when it comes to things of that nature.
And finally, what would be your comment on the conclusion by Global Info Analytics that whoever is able to win first-time voters is most likely going to win the election?
Yeah, because we have quite a sizable number of them, registering this particular, UC's registration. Quite a number of them, even it is beyond the anticipated number that they were looking out for. And if you look at for example, we have 25 years forming about 57% of the population today. That is quite huge. And so if you reduce that number, in terms of those who are the first-time voters, I mean, it's quite a number that you just cannot joke with. But you see, the reality is that when you go down the report, you see what the drivers are mainly the economy, jobs, and education. And the economy tops all. So if the economy tops all, and people feel that the current government and the leadership of the president and the vice president have not really handled the affairs of this particular state well, even especially common food like pepper, then it means that, and as much as you have even inched a little by 3 percentage points, you still are far behind with 38%. So that in itself does not really augur well for the ruling government. And that tells me that most likely the main opposition party is going to win the elections.
Quite interesting. So for you, and based on the things you've seen in terms of how they are all campaigning, some also say that, well, the numbers for Dr. Bawumia are likely to shoot up now that he has put up Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, especially in the Ashanti region. His numbers are going to look a lot better there.
I beg to differ. You see, the dynamics are different. You have what is it called, Cheddar or Nanobediako in the fringes. You have Alan in the fringes. So you needed to pick someone who is mild-mannered, an Ashanti who is mild-mannered, who is not a divisionist, who can easily reach out to the non-aligned, the undecided. If you look at the report, you still have quite a number of people in the stronghold of the MPP in the Ashanti region and the Eastern region who are apathetic and undecided, and they wouldn't even some of them wouldn't even want to take part in the voting process. Especially 3 main regions, the Eastern region, Central region, and Western regions. And if you care to know, when it comes to figures from that, they really align themselves with the MPP. And so if you look at it critically, then certainly, I don't see, much kind of change. If you ask, I think that it's mostly time will tell. The reality is that the economy has not been performing as the current finance minister, who for me is even more economic propagandist than a realist, because every little thing you go about in the market, maybe he wants to, re-energize the grassroots, let the economy gain some confidence. But within the period that we find ourselves, I think that the confidence is still not there, and they should really tone down the expectations of people. In reality, times are really hard, and we are really, really in a mess. And that in itself do not, augur well for the government or the party in government. Finally, I've always said that the actions of the president in itself, keep sending the party in government into opposition. Because you need to understand that whatever you are doing, if it's good, it's going to not benefit Dr. Bawumia. If it is bad, there will be that corporate damage Dr. Bawumia will suffer. So you need to be very careful, of certain deals, of certain corruption deals, and all these things. You are virtually irritating the unions here and there. These things will go a long way to affect Dr. Bawumia because it is corporate damage, corporate benefit. Individuals make decisions, but when it comes to the government, it's a corporate entity, and the government itself suffers.
Quite interesting. Doc, thank you so much for your time this evening.
You're welcome.
Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere is a political analyst speaking to us on this matter. Well, let me go back to an earlier story because the Office of the Attorney General has responded to Rit Jakpa, his score of the Attorney General's cross-examination as below the belt and then rating him 3 out of 10. Well, Deputy Attorney General Alfred Chiayeboa has described the prosecution's cross-examination of Mr. Jakpa as impressive and rebutted claims by Sami Jemfe, describing the Attorney General as a local champion who is good at fixing matches. Listen to the Deputy Attorney General Alfred Chiayeboa.
We're in court today. We heard issues about the post-inspection done by the former government, which the past said was done mischievously, not our worst. He said it was done out of mischief. We were in court. Many people said that when it comes to the ambulance, they were not meant to be used. We were in court. You heard it. We were also in court when it came to the date for the delivery of the ambulances, and then he said it was in January. And he finally had to come back home. We were also in court. And we heard about the ambulance having been delivered in 2014 December. So the previous government had over 2 years to have, if any, remedy the situation. Why not?
He said at the time he wasn't handed over to government. He was supposed to be kept at a safe place for the installation of the accessories, training of paramedics before it is handed over. So it will not be accurate to say that it had been handed over to government at the time. He explained it.
But you listened to him when he read the letters of Honorable Alex Segbefia, that those ambulances are vans, not my words, the words of Honorable Alex Segbefia. You also listened to his reading of the letters by Honorable Sherry Ayinde. He also said they were not vans and that they should stop manufacturing the said ambulance. So from all indications, you realize that what we have in court now, from the letters that he read, not our evidence, their evidence, the ambulances, with all due respect, from their own side, are vans. And with the vans, how do you use them?
Yeah, vans in the sense that it was not supposed to be used as ambulances at the time.
But you see, there was this issue about conversion. The AG decided to take him through that one, and he decided to just rely on the heading. That's in evidence. We decided to also let him know that you may have the heading there, but the details do not match what he claimed to be the heading. And so the ambulances, as we have them now, you go through all the exhibits that we have in court, and you make your own judgments. As I said, I will not be making judgments here, but we have succeeded in putting across our case strongly that Mr. Jakpa gave his evidence in chief. He also confronted me to our side of the matter, and the judge definitely made the pronouncement on this matter.
Away from one of the things that Sami Jemfe said, he described the Attorney General as a local champion who is only good at fixing matches. What will be your immediate response to this particular attack on the Attorney General?
It is rather unfortunate. My brother is a lawyer. The Honorable Attorney General is an astute lawyer. He's a well-read lawyer, a revered lawyer. He knows his stuff. And so if he decides to say that he's a match fixer, I mean, I don't understand him. Go to the law reports, go to Supreme Court of Ghana law reports, and look at the case that he's done at the time that he was in private practice. And from 2016 to date, I can say without any fear of equivocation that if you look at the ages that we have in Ghana, if it's not the best, maybe one of the best when it comes to his courtroom appearance. And look at international arbitrations. An Attorney General who leads his team to go on international arbitration and win cases internationally, not local. So if you say local champion, what does it mean? An Attorney General who is able to boost the staff strength of the ministry, giving them the training such that now we do not pay millions of dollars to external solicitors. Only few of them. Most of the cases that we have on arbitration, he leaves. So does it mean that if he goes outside to fight those cases, also go there to face matches? I mean, it doesn't make sense if you say that if it's
Alfred Chiayeboa is Deputy Attorney General. Now, in a decisive crackdown on illegal mining activities, the Rapid Response Team and the Forest Services Division of the Forestry Commission have arrested 30 illegal miners and immobilized 2 excavators in 2 forest reserves. This bold move marks a significant step in the ongoing battle against the environmental degradation caused by galamsey operations in the country's protected forest reserves.
Actions of illegal miners underscore the nation's resolve to protect its forest reserves from the ravages of illegal mining activities. A latest operation conducted on don't forget illegal miners operating in the Bonsa River Forest Reserve, specifically in the Aboso North Range. This followed an earlier operation on June 12, which saw the arrest of 12 suspects in the same reserve, with evidence of their round-the-clock operations. The suspects have been handed over to the Takwa Police Command for further investigation and prosecution. In a related development, 2 excavators and a motorbike were immobilized in the Apramprama Forest Reserve near Kobro in the Bekwai district of the Ashanti region. However, the culprits managed to escape upon seeing the team. Illegal operators in the Apramprama Forest Reserve have shifted to nighttime operations to evade capture, prompting the Commission to enhance their night patrols and gather intelligence, leading to the successful immobilization of the excavators. These operations are a clear message to illegal miners that the Forestry Commission will not relent in its efforts to protect the environment. Currently, there are 21 pending illegal mining cases involving over 111 accused arrested in forest reserves across the western region. These cases are at various stages of prosecution at the 2nd D High Court 2 and the Takrady Circuit Court. The efforts of the Forestry Commission and its partners highlight the critical need for a collective approach to protect Ghana's natural resources. As the country continues to fight against illegal mining, the importance of community involvement and robust legal frameworks cannot be overstated.
Now, World Vision Ghana has launched a 3-year program to curb malnutrition among children in Ghana by influencing 4 government policies which affect children. The Enough campaign, which will start in October this year, seeks to reach 3.5 million most vulnerable children in underserved communities at a cost of over 3.5 million euros. Evelyn Arabayedu has more.
The 3.5 million most vulnerable children to be reached in deprived communities, especially in the northern parts of the country, would be provided with quality education, health and nutrition, water and sanitation, child protection and participation, household food security, and humanitarian emergency interventions. The Christian-based organization World Vision will partner government agencies including the Ghana Health Service and the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection to undertake the 3-year project. This is to help the organization influence 4 government policies to ensure that more children consume enough nutritional food, as well as ensuring that more teenage girls remain in school with reduced risk of early marriage, teenage pregnancy, weakening cycle of intergenerational child hunger, and malnutrition.
We're going to tackle the growing hunger crisis, especially, in the most vulnerable places and countries. With escalating food prices and the impact of climate change on food production, World Vision is deeply concerned.
According to the World Bank, a total of 823,000 people suffered from lack of food accessibility in 2022 due to high cost of living, whilst over 15.1 million of the population also experienced food insecurity in the first quarter same year. It is in this regard that the World Vision's Enough campaign is seeking to build a world where every child enjoys enough nourishing food so they can thrive in line with the Sustainable Development Goal 2 to end child hunger and malnutrition.
Hundreds of millions of children suffer from curable diseases and are underweight, stunted, wasted, anemic, and overweight. Many children will not reach their potential, facing difficulties focusing in school, being forced to work, or getting married early. Children have the right to enough nutritious food, critical for physical growth and brain development. Article 24 of the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child emphasizes the fundamental needs for children to be well nourished. Save millions of children on the brink of starvation.
Globally, there are over 25 million children who are facing hunger, making it the largest crisis globally for children who are at risk of starvation, and 149 million stunted, due to the lack of nutritious food.
Evelyn Arba Edu's reports. Now let's do some sports this evening, shall we? And in sports, after 4 years of self-imposed exile from boxing, former WBO African Super Bantamweight champion Wasiru Jatabi Mohammed returns with a significant win. Now fighting in the lightweight division, the unbeaten former national champion secured a fifth-round technical knockout against Michael Akrama Tete and pleaded with Ghanaians, especially boxing lovers, for forgiveness for his unexpected absence.
Their contest was on the maiden edition of the Ite Powers promotions held at the Bukom Boxing Arena in Accra. Despite showing signs of reduced energy and speed due to his long absence from the ring, the former African and national super bantamweight champion Wasiru Jatabi Mohammed was a delight to watch. He did not only retain his unbeaten record in 13 fights with 12 knockouts, but also gave his opponent, Michael Akramatete, a boxing masterclass. Jatabi landed a hefty punch that sent his opponent to the canvas just as the bell rang for the end of round 4. He returned in the 5th round, more determined, dropping Tete with a flurry of punches and ending the encounter in the 5th of their scheduled 8-round lightweight contest. Jatabi apologized to the boxing world, his managers, and Ghanaians for his regrettable absence, promising to stay on course and work hard to win laurels for himself and Ghana. Wasiru Jatabi Mohammed was one of the boxers heavily tipped to regain the world title for Ghana. He has a solid management team behind him, ready to push him to all limits. Surprisingly, after his WBO African Super Bantamweight Championship against experienced Beninois boxer on January 31, 2020, he decided to drop the title and announce his retirement from boxing. His return is therefore great news for his fans and the entire boxing fraternity in Ghana.
Now, veteran sports journalist Yao Mpofu has charged sports journalists to use their platforms to enhance the facilitation of sports infrastructure in the country. He emphasized the significant impact journalists can have when they utilize their platforms to positively influence lives. Speaking on the game, the chairman of the Beach Soccer Association of Ghana, Yao Mpofu, however, noted that there's been a huge impact with online journalism in Ghana over the recent years.
I think that's why, today is so significant. This is the question we should be asking ourselves. It's not just, being on radio, TV, online. Again, I didn't mention online, which has also been a huge impact over the last few years, which continues to dominate our space. But the question is, how are we using that to impact the lives of ordinary people beyond the stadiums, beyond the arenas, beyond the courts or the swimming pools? After that, what happens? And it's about policy direction, it's about lobbying, it's about putting pressure on the decision makers and the stakeholders to make a change, not just for sports journalists, but in our role, how do we use our spaces, or our platforms to impact lives? So, for example, infrastructure development, we would want to believe that every sports journalist would love to see a sports arena, multi-purpose sports arena in every region of Ghana. Your platform is important. Monica has a voice. I have a voice. I think the rallying point is getting together, being united, and lobbying for these things to happen so that in an election year like this, we should be very vociferous, very vocal in what we think should be done by whoever wants to become the next government. So I think we should use our spaces and our platforms and our influences to put pressure on the stakeholders, the policymakers, and those who take the decisions that impact not just the lives of ordinary people, but also our jobs as well.
That's Yao Ampofo Ankara speaking on the game with Benjamin Yamwa and Monica Bukari on GH1 television earlier today. And that's how I wrap up the bulletin right here on Star 103.5 FM. There's more news for you at starfm.com.gh. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. At 6:30, we bring you Focus on Africa from the BBC. Do have a lovely evening.